Welcome to our channel. We are so glad you found your way here. Let us help you fall asleep. Let's begin with the quiet collapse of British home stores, the fall of the historic retail shop. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it. Even the tallest towers eventually quiet down. Tonight, we gently explore the empty boardrooms and forgotten ambitions of the past. Your mind is calm, and we are ready to begin. The origins of British home stores can be traced back to 1928, when it was established by a consortium of entrepreneurs seeking to create an accessible retail experience for the British public. This venture aimed to provide quality household goods and clothing at reasonable prices, positioning itself as a staple in the retail landscape. The founding principles emphasized value, customer service, and a commitment to affordability, allowing it to carve a niche within an increasingly competitive market. Throughout the decades, this retailer expanded its footprint across the United Kingdom, becoming synonymous with the concept of one-stop shopping. Stores proliferated, often located in city centers and high streets, reflecting a dedication to making essential items readily available to all demographics. The branding emerged as a beacon of reliability, fostering loyalty among customers who sought dependable options in their everyday lives. As the years progressed, British home stores embraced the evolving shopping culture, integrating seasonal trends and adapting to shifting consumer preferences. It maintained a focus on the home, with an extensive range of products designed to enhance domestic life. Yet, the landscape of retail began to change dramatically, with the rise of e-commerce and discount retailers fundamentally altering the dynamics of competition. The gradual erosion of its market share foreshadowed the challenges that would soon envelop this once iconic retailer. The post-war economy provided fertile ground for expansion. During this period, the retailer flourished, capitalizing on the shift in consumer habits and the burgeoning middle class. With an increasing number of families seeking affordable yet quality goods, it positioned itself as a staple in the retail landscape. New store openings became commonplace, each one a response to the growing demand for accessible shopping experiences. This region witnessed a transformation in urban landscapes as the retailer embraced larger formats. Locations in bustling town centers catered to a diverse clientele, offering everything from clothing to household essentials. The atmosphere was characterized by an air of optimism, as each new outlet symbolized not just growth, but a commitment to serving the community. The introduction of innovative marketing strategies further solidified its presence. Eye-catching advertisements showcased the range of products, making it a household name. It became synonymous with value, appealing to those seeking quality without the premium price tag. As the decades progressed, growth remained steady, with the retailer not only expanding its footprint, but also diversifying its offerings. The inclusion of new product lines reflected changing consumer preferences, ensuring it remained relevant in an ever-evolving marketplace. This phase marked a pinnacle of success, a time when optimism enveloped every aspect of operations, reinforcing its position as a prominent player in retail. The decade began with an expansion that seemed unrestrained. British home stores capitalized on the economic optimism of the 1980s, opening numerous outlets across the nation. This growth fostered a sense of familiarity and reliability, embedding the brand within the fabric of everyday life. The introduction of innovative marketing strategies connected with the consumers, highlighting quality and affordability. Shoppers flocked to these locations, drawn by the promise of stylish yet practical goods. Each store embodied a welcoming atmosphere, appealing to families and individuals alike. The expansion included not only physical stores, but also a growing catalog of products, enhancing its reputation as a one-stop destination for home essentials. Increasingly, the company became synonymous with value, a position strengthened by the rise of the middle class during this period. Competitors struggled to keep pace, while British Home Stores solidified its household name status. The increasing consumer demand for home furnishings provided fertile ground for further growth. Financial reports indicated healthy profit margins, and the team remained optimistic about future endeavors. The brand's outreach extended through various advertising channels, embedding itself in the cultural landscape of the time. Loyalty programs emerged, fostering a bond with customers built on trust and satisfaction. The echo of success resonated through these years, creating a foundation that seemed unshakable. Product offerings at British Home Stores reflected a diverse range of merchandise designed to cater to a broad customer base. This retail giant provided everything from clothing and home goods to furniture and electrical appliances. Each category was intended to create a one-stop shopping experience, appealing to families and individuals alike, fostering a sense of accessibility and convenience. The clothing department featured styles for all ages, emphasizing affordability while trying to keep pace with trends. Home goods included essentials such as bedding and kitchenware, while furniture selections aimed at showcasing both functionality and aesthetic appeal. Seasonal items often adorn the shelves, attracting customers looking for timely updates to their homes. While the breadth of offerings was commendable, changes in consumer preferences began to challenge this strategy. An increasing shift towards online shopping and niche retailers undermined the appeal of a generalist approach. Alternative shopping experiences emerged, characterized by curated selections and specialized products that resonated with evolving tastes. As competition intensified, the once vibrant sections of BHS's merchandise began to dwindle. The inability to swiftly adapt to market demands left gaps in the inventory, leading to diminished customer interest. This decline in product visibility contributed to the slow erosion of the company's once strong foothold in the retail landscape, marking a significant turning point in its trajectory. The company's unique brand identity once thrived within the vibrant corridors of retailing during the 20th century. Marketing strategies effectively resonated with a diverse customer base, creating a strong emotional connection. This period was characterized by an emphasis on quality and affordability, appealing to families seeking value without sacrificing style. Advertising campaigns utilized a blend of traditional media, forming a familiar presence in households. They featured products prominently displayed alongside aspirational imagery, reinforcing the brand's commitment to accessible fashion and homeware. Seasonal promotions were meticulously timed to capture the attention of consumers, turning shopping into an anticipated event. The introduction of loyalty programs further solidified this bond, transforming casual customers into devoted patrons. These initiatives created a sense of community, encouraging repeat visits and fostering brand allegiance. The once vibrant storefronts reflected this ethos, inviting shoppers into a world where quality and service were paramount. Despite these efforts, changing consumer behavior began to shift the landscape. The rise of online shopping introduced new competitors, rendering traditional marketing methods less effective. The very identity that had once distinguished it became overshadowed by the imperatives of a digital age. In this evolving environment, the inability to adapt strategies led to a gradual disintegration of the brand's once unbreakable connection with its patrons. This marked a poignant shift in the company's narrative. The customer base consisted primarily of middle-class families seeking affordable clothing, home goods, and household essentials. This demographic valued practicality and reliability, often favoring established brands over emerging trends. With an emphasis on offering reasonable prices, it fostered loyalty among those navigating economic constraints and shifting consumer preferences. Widespread familiarity with the brand allowed it to thrive in an era when traditional retail was the cornerstone of shopping. Shoppers frequented the stores not only for the products, but also for the sense of community that arose from browsing aisles filled with promising items. Many memories were made within those walls, as families sought out necessities while enjoying a chance to bond over shared experiences. As the years progressed, external factors began to challenge this once stable foundation. The rise of online shopping transformed consumer behavior, drawing attention away from physical locations. This region witnessed a gradual decline in foot traffic as convenience and accessibility became paramount. The company struggled to adapt to this evolving landscape, unable to pivot effectively despite its devoted clientele. Changes in marketing strategies failed to resonate with the new generation, leaving it stranded between its traditional roots and the demands of a modern, digitally savvy audience. The disconnect only deepened, further eroding the once loyal customer base. This decline occurred amidst an increasingly competitive landscape. Other retail giants, equipped with advanced logistics and innovative marketing strategies, began to overshadow the fading company. Their ability to adapt to changing consumer preferences allowed them to thrive. While some embraced online shopping, integrating technology into their operations, it struggled to keep pace. This failure to innovate left it vulnerable to brands that offered a more convenient shopping experience. As the years progressed, these rivals expanded their footprints, opening new locations in prime areas, while the once thriving stores of British Home Stores became relics of a bygone era. The contrast between the bustling environments of competitors and the muted interiors of its establishments highlighted the stark reality of its decline. Shoppers flocked to places that provided not only products, but also an engaging atmosphere and seamless transactions. Marketing campaigns of competitors resonated with consumers, emphasizing value, quality, and style. Their messages were tailored to modern lifestyles, showcasing a keen understanding of demographic shifts. In contrast, the fading company struggled to communicate its identity effectively, often appearing outdated and disconnected from the aspirations of a new generation. As these dynamics unfolded, the gap widened, leading to a gradual erosion of market share, leaving British Home Stores to navigate a landscape increasingly hostile to its traditional business model. Strategic acquisitions became a focal point as the fading company sought to regain its footing. Partnerships were pursued with enthusiasm, each merger intended to infuse fresh vitality. The belief that collaboration could revitalize its brand was palpable, yet the results often fell short of expectations. A notable acquisition drew attention, as it aimed to broaden product offerings and appeal to diverse consumer bases. Initial optimism surrounded the venture, with hopes that increased scale would translate into renewed relevance. Leadership anticipated that the combined resources and expertise would create a more formidable competitor within a crowded marketplace. Yet integration proved more difficult than anticipated. Cultural mismatches surfaced, leading to discord among staff and confusion among customers. Efforts to harmonize operations often led to inefficiencies, diluting the strengths each entity once possessed. The once clear vision became blurred by conflicting priorities, and the anticipated synergies faded into mere aspirations. Product lines expanded, but consumer loyalty waned, as offerings no longer resonated with the evolving preferences of shoppers. The allure of these partnerships transitioned into a complicated web of obligations and expectations that failed to deliver their promised benefits. The once hopeful narrative of resurgence became a cautionary tale, a study in the complexities of strategic growth in an unforgiving economic landscape. The economic landscape in this region was profoundly influenced by the policies implemented during the era of Thatcherism. The aggressive neoliberal approach reshaped the retail sector, ushering in an age of privatization and deregulation. Traditional retailers grappled with the shifting paradigms of consumerism that emerged alongside these changes. It became apparent that the relentless pursuit of profit could lead to the erosion of community-focused businesses. This period saw a significant rise in competition from discount retailers and supermarkets, which began to dominate the landscape. Established institutions like British Home Stores struggled to adapt to the influx of cheaper alternatives that appealed to a more cost-conscious consumer base. The retail environment became increasingly polarized, with luxury brands flourishing while mid-market retailers faced existential challenges. The shrinking profit margins took a toll on staff and infrastructure, resulting in a decline in customer service standards. This atmosphere fostered a growing disconnect between the consumer and the traditional retail experience. As swift changes became the norm, the once thriving retail giants found themselves in dire straits, unable to navigate the complexities of a rapidly evolving market. The repercussions of these transformations were felt deeply. The fabric of British retail began to fray. The decline of once iconic establishments marked the end of an era, leaving behind echoes of what had been. Responses from BHS to the advent of the digital age were marked by a mix of optimism and hesitation. In the early years of the internet, the company recognized the potential for online retail, launching its website with the intent to capture a new consumer base. Initial enthusiasm led to investments in developing an online platform, aiming to merge traditional retail charm with the emerging convenience of e-commerce. This region experienced a wave of technological innovation, and BHS sought to align itself with this shift. Promotional campaigns highlighted the ease of shopping from home, with a range of household goods and clothing available at the click of a button. The early forays into digital sales provided a glimmer of hope, as some customers gravitated towards the online offerings, drawn by competitive pricing and convenience. Despite these efforts, the transition was not seamless. The existing infrastructure struggled to adapt to the demands of online retail, leading to logistical challenges. Inventory management became increasingly complex, and the brand found itself competing with agile newcomers who specialized in digital commerce. As the online landscape evolved, BHS faced mounting pressure to innovate further. Expectations from consumers shifted rapidly, leaving the company to grapple with a new reality where adaptability was essential for survival. The initial responses, though promising, soon revealed deeper vulnerabilities within the fading company. Profit margins began to dwindle significantly, reflecting a troubling trend in financial performance. The once robust figures that characterized British home stores are now mere shadows of their former selves. Year after year, reports illustrated a gradual decline as sales faltered, revealing deeper issues in management and market positioning. The competitive landscape shifted dramatically, with nimble rivals rapidly adapting to changing consumer preferences, while it struggled to maintain relevance. The financial documents laid bare the challenges: operating costs steadily outpacing revenue, strategic missteps leading to inefficient inventory management, and an overall lack of investment in modernization. These reports painted a stark picture, with profit margins shrinking from a comfortable range to precarious levels, raising alarms among stakeholders. Shareholders, once optimistic, became increasingly wary as dividends diminished and losses mounted. This deterioration was not merely an economic concern, but a reflection of the broader retail environment. The shift towards online shopping and changing consumer behaviors rendered traditional models less effective. With every quarterly release, it became clearer that the once reliable revenue streams were faltering. The analysts scrutinized the data, attempting to understand the extent of the decline, yet the underlying issues persisted, leading to a profound sense of inevitability regarding the fate of the historic retail institution. Leadership changes significantly influenced the trajectory of the fading company. Over the years, several chief executive officers took the helm, each bringing their distinct vision and strategy. These transitions created an atmosphere of instability, with a constant shift in priorities and objectives. The lack of a cohesive direction became increasingly apparent, leaving employees and stakeholders disoriented. The first notable shift occurred with the appointment of a charismatic leader, who initially revitalized the brand with ambitious plans for expansion. Enthusiasm surrounded the introduction of new product lines and a modernized marketing approach. However, ambitious initiatives often collided with the economic realities faced by the organization. Subsequent leaders struggled to maintain momentum, with many initiatives falling short of achieving their intended impact. The final CEO, thrust into a challenging environment, faced the daunting task of salvaging what remained. Despite efforts to streamline operations and cut costs, the weight of previous decisions loomed large. Criticism mounted as the company grappled with mounting debts and dwindling sales. This environment stifled innovation and discouraged risk-taking, essential components for recovery. Each leadership transition, rather than providing a fresh perspective, reinforced a cycle of decline, further entrenching the challenges that would. Shift in consumer behavior significantly altered the landscape of retail. The rise of digital shopping platforms transformed the way individuals approached purchasing. Convenience became paramount, as consumers sought immediate access to products with minimal effort. Established institutions faced challenges in adapting to these new expectations. This region witnessed an increasing preference for online shopping, where vast selections and competitive pricing were just a click away. Traditional retail spaces, once bustling with activity, began to feel increasingly vacant. Those who frequented British home stores found themselves drawn to the allure of e-commerce, a shift that rendered brick-and-mortar locations less relevant. As the digital marketplace flourished, it became clear that consumer loyalty was easily swayed. Promotions and incentives online attracted even the most steadfast shoppers, pulling them away from familiar environments. This shift was not merely a temporary trend, it indicated a fundamental change in shopping habits, highlighting a desire for flexibility and efficiency. The impact on physical stores was undeniable. Sales dwindled and foot traffic diminished, leaving behind echoes of a once vibrant retail presence. This evolution was not just a challenge for British home stores, but a broader reflection of an industry grappling with its identity in the face of relentless technological advancement. The implications of these changing habits reverberated throughout the market, reshaping expectations and experiences altogether. The emergence of discount retailers began to erode the customer base of the Fading Company during the 1990s. Competitors offered lower prices and increasingly attractive shopping environments, striking at the heart of British home stores' value proposition. As sales began to dwindle, management responded with minor adjustments, aiming to retain a loyal clientele. Yet, these efforts proved insufficient against the backdrop of a rapidly evolving retail landscape. The introduction of new technologies further complicated matters. The rise of online shopping began to shift consumer preferences, presenting alternatives that traditional brick-and-mortar establishments struggled to adapt to. In this region, the shift was palpable. Store layouts became cluttered, and the once familiar aisles lost their appeal. Foot traffic slowed, and with it, the vibrancy that had characterized BHS began to fade. Operational inefficiencies compounded the situation. Supply chain issues and inventory mismanagement became commonplace, leading to stock shortages and dissatisfied customers. These symptoms deepened the crisis, signaling a disconnect between the brand's image and the consumer experience. Internal reports revealed concerns about financial health, yet decisions remained tentative, mired in an unwillingness to confront the looming reality. By the close of the decade, the signs were unmistakable. The decline set into motion a chain of events that would lead to the company's eventual unraveling. The once iconic retailer faced an uncertain future, overshadowed by its own legacy. The role of store locations played a crucial part in the decline of this historic retail shop. Urban centers, once bustling with foot traffic, began to shift. The appeal of city shopping waned as consumers gravitated towards the convenience of suburban retail environments. Here, sprawling shopping centers offered ample parking and a diverse range of amenities, creating a more attractive option for families and time-constrained individuals. In contrast, the Fading Company found itself anchored in urban spaces that had lost their luster. The high street, filled with empty storefronts, became a stark reminder of changing consumer habits. Many of these locations, once perceived as prime real estate, now stood as husks of commercial ambition. The allure of city living diminished, with online shopping emerging as a formidable competitor, further straining foot traffic. Suburban locations, while initially promising, could not compensate for the losses sustained in urban districts. The gradual shift in demographics and preferences was palpable. These once coveted spaces now echoed with the absence of bustling shoppers. The impact was evident in sales reports, which reflected a slow, steady decline. Customer loyalty dwindled as convenience and variety became paramount in the retail landscape. This transformation, though subtle at first, marked a turning point in the retailer's long and storied history. Economic recessions create an environment where consumer behavior shifts dramatically. In this region, British Home Stores found itself grappling with declining foot traffic as households tightened their budgets. The once bustling aisles, filled with shoppers seeking affordable home goods, began to echo with a haunting silence. This retail institution, historically a staple of British shopping culture, experienced the impact of diminished discretionary spending. Competition intensified during this period, with budget retailers emerging to capture a more price-sensitive demographic. Shoppers increasingly turned to alternatives that offered lower prices, resulting in a gradual erosion of BHS's customer base. Each financial downturn further compounded the challenges it faced, creating a cycle that was increasingly difficult to escape. As the economic climate became more turbulent, the company attempted various strategies to revitalize sales. Promotions and sales events were introduced in a bid to entice customers back into stores. However, these efforts often fell short of expectations. The allure of the brand faded, overshadowed by an inability to adapt to the shifting demands of consumers. This decline was not merely a result of external economic pressures, but also reflected internal mismanagement and a failure to innovate. With each passing year, the once revered retailer slipped further into the shadows of its former glory, becoming a poignant reminder of how swiftly fortunes can change in the retail landscape. The financial overview of the early 2000s reveals a series of miscalculations and missed opportunities that contributed to this decline. Increasing competition from low-cost retailers, coupled with shifting consumer preferences, eroded the customer base. Profit margins tightened as overhead costs remained stubbornly high. The brand struggled to adapt to the rise of online shopping, which began to reshape retail dynamics. A growing reliance on discounting to attract shoppers highlighted underlying weaknesses. This strategy, while temporarily boosting foot traffic, further undermined the overall profitability. Annual reports from this period show a concerning trend. Revenues stagnated and debts mounted, pushing the company into precarious financial territory. The once proud flagship stores, once bustling with activity, began to reflect a different reality: fewer customers and increasing vacancy rates. Management initiatives aimed at revitalization often fell short, failing to resonate with a changing demographic. Investments in store renovations and marketing campaigns lacked the necessary strategic foresight. The retail landscape became a battleground where agility and innovation were paramount, yet the fading company found itself clinging to outdated practices. By the end of the decade, financial statements painted a stark picture of a business increasingly disconnected from its core market. The once familiar brand was now a shadow of its former self, unable to recover from the financial crisis that enveloped it. Amidst the ruins of British Home Stores, attempts at revitalization emerged as a desperate measure against impending oblivion. New marketing campaigns were initiated, aiming to recapture the essence of the brand while adapting to the evolving retail landscape. They sought to evoke nostalgia, highlighting the comforting familiarity of the past. The imagery employed in advertisements featured warm, inviting tones, reminiscent of a once thriving establishment. Promotions were designed to generate foot traffic, with limited-time offers and discounted prices aimed at luring back former customers. These tactics, however, often felt insufficient in the face of changing consumer behaviors. Shifts toward online shopping meant that even the most enticing campaigns struggled to maintain relevance in an increasingly digital marketplace. Social media platforms became a focal point for engagement, where the brand attempted to connect with a younger demographic. They employed influencers and digital marketing strategies to showcase modern home goods, bridging the gap between traditional retail and contemporary consumer trends. Yet, each campaign was met with mixed responses, as the lingering perception of decline overshadowed any attempt at reinvigoration. Despite these efforts, the brand's identity remained fractured, struggling to find its place within a landscape dominated by agile competitors. The quest for revival continued, yet the path forward seemed increasingly obscured by the weight of history. The seismic shift towards online retail introduced a formidable challenge for many traditional retailers. As consumers gravitated towards the convenience of e-commerce, it became evident that adapting to this new landscape required significant investment and innovation. The digital marketplace offered an expansive reach, allowing customers to browse an endless array of products from the comfort of their homes. This transformation left many brick-and-mortar establishments struggling to compete. The Fading Company faced hurdles in developing an effective online presence. Internal resources were stretched thin, and there was a growing urgency to integrate technology into operations. Competition intensified, with agile startups and established online giants capturing market share. They could swiftly adjust to changing consumer preferences, employing sophisticated algorithms to enhance personalized shopping experiences. Consequently, traditional retailers found themselves at a disadvantage. The once bustling aisles were increasingly quiet as loyal customers began to favor the ease of online shopping. Marketing tactics that had worked for decades became less effective as younger consumers turned to social media and influencer endorsements for guidance. In this region of decline, the once vibrant brand struggled to convey its legacy to a new generation. The disconnect between the established retail model and the emerging digital paradigm widened, leaving an indelible mark on the company's future prospects. Economic pressures compounded this situation, further complicating any potential recovery. Financial decisions made within this Fading Company illustrate a pattern of mismanagement that contributed to its decline. Investments intended to rejuvenate the brand often yielded insufficient returns. Leadership chose to prioritize short-term gains over sustainable growth, resulting in a series of ill-conceived strategies that. The focus on aggressive pricing strategies proved detrimental. While aimed at attracting budget-conscious consumers, these practices eroded profit margins, leading to a cycle of discounting that diminished perceived value. The allure of immediate sales overshadowed the need for a robust, competitive offering. Meanwhile, inadequate inventory management led to stock shortages and excess, further straining the budget. Leadership failed to adapt to the evolving retail landscape, overlooking the seismic shifts toward online shopping. This oversight left it vulnerable as competitors embraced digital transformations, capturing market share that once belonged to the brand. Promotional efforts became increasingly uninspired, lacking the innovation necessary to engage modern consumers. The culmination of these fiscal missteps left a legacy of debt and dwindling store traffic. This legacy of debt created an insurmountable challenge, particularly in relation to the pension scheme. The financial obligations to former employees loomed large, manifesting as a significant burden on the already struggling retailer. Pensions, once a promise of security, morphed into a focal point of crisis. The disparity between the funds available and the commitments made created a ripple effect that compounded the existing issues. With increasing scrutiny from regulators and stakeholders, the strain on resources became evident. The The pension deficit, calculated in hundreds of millions, raised questions about the sustainability of the entire operation. This situation prompted a desperate search for solutions, yet options appeared limited. Attempts to restructure the pension scheme faced backlash from employees and unions, who viewed any alterations as a betrayal of trust. As financial reports disclosed alarming figures, confidence eroded further. Investors, wary of the escalating pension liabilities, withdrew support, exacerbating the decline. The company struggled to maintain its footing amidst a backdrop of uncertainty, creating an environment where loyalty to the brand was tested. Each passing quarter saw fewer customers enter the once bustling shops, and the hollow echoes of the past haunted the corridors of each location. This period marked not only a decline in sales, but an unraveling of the very foundation upon which the retailer was built. Ownership transitioned from the original British Home Stores stakeholders to private equity in the early 2030s, a shift that would prove pivotal in its trajectory. This change brought a wave of financial restructuring, characterized by an aggressive pursuit of profitability. This led to a focus on short-term gains rather than long-term sustainability, altering the ethos of the company. Amidst this financial recalibration, the once vibrant retail presence began to wither. Decisions made in boardrooms far removed from the bustling high streets prioritized cost-cutting measures over customer engagement. The fabric of the organization, once intertwined with community loyalty, started to fray under the weight of fiscal imperatives. The ethos of providing affordable quality gave way to an emphasis on margins and operational efficiencies. Store closures proliferated as locations were deemed non-essential. The once familiar signage became a haunting reminder of past glory, etched in the memories of shoppers who had frequented these spaces. Employees, once invested in the brand's identity, found themselves navigating uncertainty, facing layoffs and diminished morale. The private equity model, while promising initial financial relief, the governance structure proved inadequate in addressing the unfolding issues within the fading company. The board, tasked with overseeing operations and ensuring accountability, struggled to navigate the complexities of a rapidly changing retail landscape. Key decisions lacked the rigorous scrutiny one would expect from such an established institution. Diverse expertise seemed absent, as members often lacked deep understanding of the retail sector's nuances. This disconnect resulted in strategic missteps that would. Oversight mechanisms designed to safeguard the company's interests appeared weak. The frequency of board meetings diminished, leading to a decline in proactive discussions regarding market challenges and competitive positioning. Engagement with stakeholders, including employees and suppliers, diminished further, fostering an environment where critical issues remained unaddressed. As financial pressures mounted, the board's response lacked urgency. There were calls for restructuring, but the implementation of necessary changes failed to materialize swiftly. This inaction allowed operational inefficiencies to flourish, exacerbating existing problems. The once mighty presence of this historic retail shop gradually weakened, leaving behind echoes of its former prominence, now lost amidst the ruins of mismanagement and oversight failures. The deterioration culminated in the year 2015, when a formal administration was announced. Financial misjudgments and an inability to adapt to shifting consumer preferences played pivotal roles in this decline. Rising overhead costs, exacerbated by an outdated business model, led to unsustainable losses. The expanding online retail market further eroded its customer base, rendering the once revered shopping experience obsolete. Consequences were immediate and far-reaching. Store closures swept through the network, resulting in the loss of thousands of jobs. Communities once lively with the presence of this retailer now faced vacancies, a stark reminder of the economic instability that accompanied the collapse. Suppliers experienced significant disruptions as orders dwindled and contracts were abruptly terminated. Furthermore, the administration revealed deeper underlying issues, including a lack of cohesive leadership and strategic direction. Stakeholders, once confident in the brand's legacy, found themselves grappling with uncertainty as the future of this institution hung in the balance. The public sentiment shifted from nostalgia for the past to an awareness of the harsh realities of retail operations. In the aftermath, the remnants of the organization were sold off piece by piece, reflecting the fragmented state of what was once a thriving enterprise. This event not only marked the end of an era for this retailer, but also served as a cautionary tale for the broader retail landscape. The decline of British home stores highlighted the fragile nature of customer loyalty in an evolving market. Once a staple for British shoppers, it garnered a devoted following, with brand advocates who cherished its offerings. These loyalists found comfort in the familiarity of the store's layout, product range, and pricing. Their emotional attachment, however, proved insufficient amid mounting challenges. The company's gradual shift in strategy alienated many long-term customers. The introduction of discount retailing tactics, while aimed at boosting sales, often conflicted with the brand's established identity. This disconnect led to a slow erosion of trust among devoted patrons. Many felt that the essence of the store, which had once represented quality and reliability, was lost in pursuit of profit. In this environment, the voices of advocates became increasingly critical. They articulated their discontent on various platforms, reflecting a sense of betrayal. Once proud to be associated with the brand, their loyalty waned as they witnessed deteriorating service and product quality. The community that had once rallied around British home stores began to fracture, leaving behind echoes of nostalgia. This situation illustrates the delicate balance required to maintain brand loyalty. It emphasizes that even the most cherished retailers can falter when they fail to adapt while preserving their core values. The legacy of British home stores serves as a reminder of this enduring principle. Media representation played a crucial role in shaping public perception of this fading retail entity. Coverage varied significantly, oscillating between sympathetic portrayals of a once-beloved institution and critical analyses of corporate mismanagement. Articles often highlighted the emotional resonance of the brand, evoking nostalgia for a time when it thrived as a staple of high street life. This sentiment was juxtaposed with stark critiques, pointing to the financial missteps and leadership failures that led to its decline. Reports delved into the financial statements, revealing mounting losses and unsustainable business practices. Investigative pieces scrutinized the decisions made by executives, examining the impact of the ill-fated attempts to modernize the brand. The press frequently emphasized the human cost, showcasing the thousands of employees affected by store closures and layoffs, painting a poignant picture of lives intertwined with the company's fate. Editorials often reflected public sentiment, oscillating between anger and sorrow. Commentators engaged in debates about the broader implications for the retail sector, considering how the decline of such an iconic name signaled shifts in consumer behavior and market dynamics. The discourse surrounding this entity reflected a complex relationship with its audience, capturing both admiration for its legacy and disappointment in its downfall. Employees experienced the rise and fall of this once beloved institution in a manner that encapsulated the broader narrative of British home stores. The workforce, initially inspired by a shared vision of quality and customer service, found themselves navigating the challenges of a changing retail landscape. Loyalty and dedication marked the early years, as staff members took pride in their roles, contributing to the company's identity as a retail pioneer. Over time, the atmosphere shifted. Economic pressures and increasing competition began to permeate the work environment, leading to a palpable sense of uncertainty. Job security diminished, and morale waned as corporate decisions increasingly prioritized short-term gains over employee welfare. The once unified workforce fractured under the weight of restructuring, store closures, and dwindling resources. Management's focus on cost-cutting measures left employees feeling undervalued. Reduced training opportunities and limited career advancement further eroded the enthusiasm that had characterized the workforce. As the company's fortunes declined, many employees found themselves grappling with the emotional toll of witnessing the disintegration of their workplace. In the final years, the remaining staff faced the daunting reality of a brand struggling to maintain its relevance. Each day became a testament to resilience, yet also a reminder of the shifting tides in retail. The echoes of this legacy linger on, captured in the memories of those who served within its walls. Crisis communication unfolded in a manner that reflected the broader struggles of this fading company. As financial difficulties mounted, the public's perception shifted from nostalgia to concern. Attempts to manage this image were characterized by a series of announcements that lacked clarity and coherence. Statements often appeared reactive, addressing issues only after they became publicly scrutinized. Responses to financial woes were met with mixed receptions. Leadership frequently emphasized commitment to restoring the brand, yet the disconnect between these assurances and the reality of declining sales became palpable. Communication strategies shifted, oscillating between optimism and the stark recognition of impending challenges. Press releases attempted to convey stability, but they often lacked the substantive details that would reassure stakeholders. Employee morale suffered as uncertainty loomed. Those on the front lines faced a dual burden, managing customer expectations while grappling with their own fears about the future. Internal communication became increasingly critical, yet it often fell short of providing the transparency needed to foster trust. As restructuring plans were announced, the narrative surrounding the company's future remained fraught with skepticism. Stakeholders observed with trepidation, noting that the once revered institution seemed to drift further from its roots with each passing day. The echoes of promises unfulfilled reverberated as the reality of closure loomed large. This reality extended beyond the confines of financial statements and boardroom discussions. Consumer feedback emerged as a powerful force, shaping perceptions and decisions in the marketplace. Negative reviews began to accumulate, creating a palpable shift in public sentiment. Dissatisfaction echoed through various platforms, with customers detailing their experiences in detail. These critiques, often posted with a sense of urgency, highlighted issues such as declining product quality and poor customer service. The impact of these reviews reached deep into the psyche of the fading company. They influenced potential shoppers who, upon encountering disparaging remarks, opted to forego visits to the once beloved retail shop. Trust eroded, gradually transforming loyal patrons into skeptical observers. This erosion of confidence manifested in dwindling foot traffic. Each empty aisle served as a stark reminder of the once bustling stores. As the specter of declining sales loomed, the company struggled to respond effectively. Efforts to address customer concerns often fell short, leading to a cycle of disappointment. Marketing campaigns attempted to revive the brand's image, but they were met with skepticism, overshadowed by the weight of discontent. The digital landscape became a battleground, with each negative review having the potential to tip the scales further towards decline. This region of consumer sentiment became a critical element in the tapestry of the store's downfall, illustrating the profound effects of public perception in the retail sector. Supply chain inefficiencies played a significant role in the decline of British home stores. The reliance on outdated logistics frameworks hindered its ability to respond to shifting market demands. Delays in inventory replenishment became commonplace, leaving shelves barren and customers frustrated. This operational sluggishness contrasted sharply with the nimble practices of competitors who adapted to the evolving retail landscape. The distribution network, once a hallmark of efficiency, faltered under the weight of mismanagement. Aging infrastructure and a lack of technological investment meant that the company struggled to maintain optimal stock levels. Warehouses became overburdened with unsold goods, while popular items were perpetually out of reach for eager consumers. Such inconsistencies eroded trust, pushing patrons toward alternative retailers. Compounding these logistical failures were poor forecasting methods, which failed to accurately predict trends and consumer preferences. This disconnect from market realities resulted in an avalanche of markdowns and unsold inventory. Employees often found themselves grappling with backlogs, unable to deliver the service expected in a competitive retail environment. Store design and layout represented a crucial aspect of the British home store's experience, evolving alongside changing consumer preferences. Initially, the layout emphasized a straightforward approach, featuring neatly arranged aisles and clear signage. This simplicity catered to a diverse audience, allowing families to navigate the space with ease. However, as the retail landscape transformed, a shift towards creating immersive environments became evident. The introduction of lifestyle sections aimed to enhance the shopping experience, showcasing curated collections that appealed to aspirational consumers. These spaces attempted to evoke a sense of belonging and comfort, integrating visual merchandising with enticing displays. They encouraged customers to envision their homes adorned with the products on offer. Despite these efforts, the physical spaces began to show signs of wear. The once vibrant colors and inviting layouts dulled over time, mirroring the decline in customer foot traffic. Poor maintenance became noticeable, with fixtures and furnishings deteriorating amidst increasing competition. As online shopping gained momentum, the relevance of the traditional retail space diminished. The once bustling aisles filled with eager shoppers grew quieter. The remnants of a bygone era lingered in these locations as consumers sought convenience and efficiency through digital platforms. The evolution of the shopping experience, once a hallmark of British home stores, faded into obscurity, overshadowed by the relentless march of modernization. Pioneering technologies began to emerge within the retail landscape. yet British home stores remained hesitant to embrace them fully. This reluctance to integrate new systems signaled an early warning of impending decline. While competitors swiftly adopted e-commerce platforms and advanced inventory management software, this institution clung to traditional practices. The outdated systems, once the backbone of operations, struggled to keep pace with customer expectations. The lag in technological adoption fostered inefficiencies. Employees found themselves burdened by manual processes, which became increasingly unsustainable in a rapidly evolving digital marketplace. This region, once vibrant with bustling shoppers, began to echo with the silence of missed opportunities. Shoppers sought convenience and speed, gravitating towards brands that understood the need for seamless online experiences. As the retail environment shifted, it became evident that the static approach to technology and innovation eroded the brand's relevance. Attempts to modernize were often reactive rather than proactive, leading to disjointed strategies that failed to resonate with consumers. The contrast between the aspirations of this fading company and the realities of a tech-driven world revealed a chasm too wide to bridge. The once beloved retail shop found itself stranded in a landscape that had transformed dramatically, unable to navigate the complexities of modern consumer behavior. This shift in the retail environment introduced an array of discount retailers that fundamentally altered customer expectations. These competitors thrived by offering lower prices and a more streamlined shopping experience, drawing consumers away from the once favored British home stores. The allure of significant savings at these alternatives proved irresistible for many shoppers, undermining the brand's long-held reputation for quality and reliability. Sales began to decline steadily as it struggled to retain its customer base. Promotions and markdowns, once effective strategies, became insufficient in regaining lost market share. This region, once bustling with loyal patrons, grew more desolate as consumers opted for the immediate gratification found at discount outlets. The disparity between pricing strategies became increasingly apparent, with BHS unable to justify its price points. As financial pressures mounted, inventory management faltered. Stock that once reflected seasonal trends began to accumulate, leading to further markdowns and diminished profit margins. The store's identity blurred amidst this relentless competition as it attempted to balance quality with affordability. The decline in foot traffic echoed through empty aisles, each unvisited corner a testament to changing consumer preferences. This gradual erosion of sales signified not only a financial struggle, but also a profound shift in the retail landscape that left the fading company vulnerable and exposed. The promotional strategies employed by the fading company were once a cornerstone of its sales approach, particularly during seasonal sales. These moments, characterized by heavily marketed discounts, created a brief resurgence of customer interest. The strategy, however, began to falter as the retail environment evolved and competition intensified. Discounts initially attracted a loyal customer base, offering the promise of value. The allure of seasonal sales created a sense of urgency, drawing shoppers into stores. Over time, though, the effectiveness of these promotions diminished. Customers grew accustomed to constant markdowns, leading to a devaluation of the brand. The reliance on temporary price reductions became a double-edged sword, providing short-term relief yet undermining long-term brand perception. In this shifting environment, the promotional strategies of the fading company failed to adapt. Seasonal sales shifted from a celebration of the changing times to mere repetitions of the same strategy, lacking innovation or excitement. The absence of a cohesive brand identity left these promotional events feeling hollow, contributing to a loss of consumer trust. With diminished foot traffic and a saturated market, the once coveted seasonal events became increasingly ineffective. It became evident that without a fresh approach, the promotional strategies that had once been effective would no longer suffice to sustain the fading company in an unforgiving retail landscape. The decline in customer visits marked a critical turning point for the brand, signaling deep-rooted issues within its operational framework. Foot traffic dwindled as consumers gravitated towards the convenience of online shopping, seeking immediacy and accessibility that traditional stores struggled to provide. This shift rendered once bustling aisles eerily quiet, echoing the absence of loyal patrons. A lack of innovation further alienated potential customers. The products, once sought after for their affordability and variety, began to feel outdated, failing to resonate with a demographic that increasingly valued contemporary trends and sustainability. As preferences evolved, the brand's inability to adapt to changing consumer demands became painfully apparent. Store layouts that once encouraged exploration now felt confining, with diminishing inventory and repetitive displays leading to a lack of inspiration. Staff members, facing mounting pressure from declining sales, often appeared disengaged, contributing to an atmosphere that discouraged return visits. The impact of external economic factors cannot be overlooked. Rising operational costs, coupled with increased competition from both physical and online retailers, further exacerbated the situation. This region, once thriving with vibrant shopping experiences, now reflected an unsettling stillness, illustrating the stark reality of a retail institution grappling with its identity in a rapidly evolving marketplace. The role of real estate in this decline reveals a complex interplay between location, investment choices, and financial viability. Property decisions made by the fading company shaped its operational landscape, often leading to burdensome leases that strained resources. With many stores situated in prime locations, the cost of maintaining these properties became unsustainable, particularly as foot traffic diminished. Financial implications of these choices were profound, resulting in an ongoing cycle of debt and diminished returns. The once coveted retail spaces now carried heavy overheads, leaving little room for adaptation or innovation. This region's landscape of empty storefronts served as a reminder of the financial miscalculations that plagued the company. Amid shifting consumer preferences, the inability to pivot led to stagnant sales and mounting liabilities. The weight of real estate commitments further restricted agility, preventing effective responses to emerging trends. As competitors capitalized on more flexible retail models, the fading company stood firm in its traditional approach, entangled in long-term contracts that offered little respite. The struggle to manage these properties continued to exacerbate financial woes, diminishing the potential for recovery. Each closure marked not only a loss of revenue, but also a retreat from once familiar community spaces, leaving a ghostly imprint on the local economy. The financial burden was exacerbated by the pension fund crisis, an issue that loomed over the fading company like an ominous cloud. Liabilities accumulated, creating an unsustainable weight on already strained resources. Trust in the pension scheme diminished, leaving employees and retirees anxious about their futures. This growing concern rippled through the workforce, impacting morale and productivity. The mismanagement of funds became increasingly apparent as the years passed. Projections fell short, and necessary contributions to the pension scheme were often neglected. The resultant shortfall magnified the company's financial woes, leading to a downward spiral from which recovery seemed elusive. Stakeholders recognized the urgency, yet solutions remained frustratingly out of reach. Advisors cautioned against further investments, emphasizing the need for austerity measures. Each recommendation, though rational, seemed to worsen the situation. The balance sheets reflected a stark reality, with liabilities outstripping assets. This imbalance served as a stark reminder of the precarious position in which the company found itself. The pension crisis not only threatened the financial stability of the organization, but also tarnished its long-standing reputation. Trust eroded as employees witnessed the unfolding difficulties, leading to a pervasive sense of uncertainty. Consultants entered the scene, offering strategic advice intended to reverse the decline. Their recommendations, however, often lacked a genuine understanding of the unique challenges faced by this historic retail shop. A reliance on external perspectives began to overshadow internal insights, creating a disconnect between management and the workforce. As these advisors proposed sweeping changes, the nuances of the brand's identity were at risk of being overlooked. Decision-making became increasingly influenced by charts and projections rather than the lived experiences of employees and customers. This reliance on external guidance fostered a culture of doubt, as staff members observed that the very essence of their roles was being redefined by those detached from the daily realities of the business. The once vibrant atmosphere gave way to a sterile focus on metrics, diminishing morale further. Amidst this shift, the implementation of new strategies often fell flat. The disconnect between consultancy recommendations and operational capabilities led to confusion and frustration. Frantic attempts to modernize and streamline processes created additional layers of complexity without addressing foundational issues. This region, once characterized by bustling activity and loyal patronage, now bore the marks of a struggling entity, reliant on fluctuating external opinions rather than a cohesive internal vision. The fading company found itself at a crucial crossroads, with external advice proving to be an insufficient remedy for its deep-rooted challenges. Leadership accountability played a significant role in the decline of this historic retail shop. Decisions made at the upper echelons drastically shaped the trajectory of the company. An atmosphere of complacency pervaded the executive suite, where long-standing leaders failed to adapt to shifting market dynamics and consumer expectations. This stagnation contributed to a disconnect between the brand and its once loyal customer base. Amidst financial pressures, strategic missteps became increasingly evident. It was not merely a lack of innovation that hindered progress. The inability to recognize and respond to competitors eroded market share. Decisions regarding inventory management and pricing strategies reflected a troubling detachment from the realities faced by the company. As financial losses mounted, a culture of blame emerged, diverting attention from accountability and fostering internal discord. The absence of a clear vision left many employees disillusioned. A once enthusiastic workforce began to perceive their efforts as futile, leading to diminished morale and productivity. Leadership's failure to engage and motivate staff. This legacy of mismanagement has become increasingly apparent in the ruins of the company. Disconnected from its community and its values, it serves as a somber reminder of how leadership decisions can ripple through an organization. The uncertainty surrounding Brexit cast a long shadow over the retail sector, manifesting in various ways for this fading company. It faced immediate challenges, including fluctuating currency values that diminished purchasing power. Imported goods, once a staple in its offerings, became more expensive, culminating in rising prices that alienated loyal customers. As the political landscape shifted, consumer confidence faltered. Shoppers, gripped by apprehension over future economic stability, tightened their spending. Formerly bustling storefronts began to experience a stark decline in foot traffic. The once vibrant displays stood in stark contrast to the empty aisles, an echo of a prosperous past. Logistics also suffered. Supply chain disruptions became increasingly common, leaving shelves bare and customers frustrated. With suppliers impacted by tariffs and changing regulations, the once reliable flow of inventory turned sporadic. This inconsistency further eroded trust and loyalty among the remaining clientele. Management struggled to respond effectively, unable to pivot quickly to evolving consumer demands in a post-Brexit landscape. Strategies that had once thrived became outdated relics, unable to adapt to the new realities. As the company grappled with these challenges, the impact of broader economic forces became increasingly apparent, revealing vulnerabilities that had long been overlooked. The culmination of these factors led to a significant erosion of consumer trust. Once a cornerstone of reliable shopping, this retailer found itself increasingly viewed with skepticism. Shoppers began to shy away, disillusioned by reports of financial instability and the uncertainty surrounding product availability. The very essence of this historic shop's appeal, rooted in dependability and quality, began to fade. Assurances once offered by management fell on deaf ears as the public's perception shifted. Consumers, feeling vulnerable in an unpredictable marketplace, sought alternatives that promised security. The steady decline in foot traffic reflected a broader discontent as loyal patrons turned to competitors who appeared more financially sound. This loss of consumer confidence was palpable, affecting not only sales figures but also the brand's reputation. In the wake of mounting financial pressures, the store's commitment to quality diminished. Stock shortages became commonplace, with empty shelves a stark reminder of its diminishing influence. Customers, once drawn to the brand for its reliability, now faced disappointment. The once bustling aisles grew eerily quiet, echoing the distrust that permeated the air. This erosion of trust, fueled by financial turmoil, marked a turning point for the retailer. What was once a beloved institution now stood as a cautionary tale of how fragile consumer loyalty can be in the face of uncertainty. The liquidation process began with a somber realization of the vast expanse of assets that once defined British home stores. Shelves once filled with vibrant merchandise now lay bare, reflecting the rapid disintegration of a once thriving retail environment. The remnants of this historic shop were cataloged meticulously, each item assigned a value that was often far below its original worth. This stark devaluation served as a chilling reminder of the decline that had taken place. Remaining inventory was sold off through clearance sales, drawing in bargain hunters who sought remnants of the brand's legacy. Faded signage and empty storefronts became commonplace, each window telling tales of a past that felt increasingly distant. The furniture, homeware, and clothing that once filled these spaces were auctioned off, creating a fragmented landscape of what remained. Buildings that housed these stores were also subjected to scrutiny. Some sold to other retailers, while others faced uncertain futures. The real estate assets, once considered prime locations, became a burden as the market reacted to the retail upheaval. In many instances, these properties fell into disrepair, echoing the fate of the brand itself. As assets were liquidated, it became clear that the decline of British home stores was not merely an end, but a complex unraveling of a retail dynasty. The unraveling of this retail dynasty revealed critical lessons about management practices in a rapidly changing marketplace. Oversight and strategic misalignment emerged as significant factors contributing to its downfall. Decisions made in boardrooms lacked a firm connection to the evolving needs and preferences of consumers. A failure to adapt to the digital landscape left it vulnerable to competitors that embraced innovation. Financial management also played a crucial role. The inability to maintain a sustainable balance sheet demonstrated the importance of prudent fiscal oversight. Over-reliance on short-term profits at the expense of long-term viability created an environment ripe for instability. Stakeholders witnessed how neglecting corporate governance can lead to broader repercussions. Employee engagement and customer service quality faltered during the decline. A disengaged workforce, coupled with a diminishing focus on the customer experience, alienated loyal patrons. Leadership disconnected from frontline operations often overlooks the value of nurturing relationships with both staff and consumers. This disconnection fostered a culture where accountability diminished over time. The narrative surrounding British home stores encapsulates the significance of foresight and adaptability. Strategic planning must encompass not only immediate gains, but also an understanding of market dynamics. These lessons resonate throughout the retail sector, advocating for an adaptive approach to survive and thrive in an ever-evolving commercial landscape. The digital presence of this fading company can be characterized as inadequate in an age where social media drives consumer engagement and brand loyalty. Initially, BHS attempted to harness platforms such as Facebook and Twitter to connect with its customer base. However, the strategy lacked the innovation that captures attention in a crowded marketplace. While competitors flourished through creative campaigns and influencer partnerships, it struggled to present a compelling narrative. Content shared on these platforms often failed to resonate, appearing disjointed and inconsistent. Customers, drawn to vibrant visuals and engaging stories elsewhere, began to overlook the muted offerings that emerged from this retailer. The disconnect between the brand's heritage and the contemporary expectations of consumers became increasingly pronounced. Engagement metrics declined as followers dwindled, reflecting a growing disinterest. Promotions and announcements received minimal interaction, signaling a significant gap in understanding the evolving dynamics of customer relationships. This region, once bustling with foot traffic, mirrored the digital shortcomings of the retailer. As brick-and-mortar stores shuttered, the inability to create a robust online community contributed to the broader narrative of decline, the failure to adapt and innovate in this digital age. Bankruptcy myths often obscure the complex realities surrounding closures. The narrative surrounding British home stores is no exception. Many assume that financial mismanagement was the sole cause of its demise. This perception simplifies a multifaceted issue, failing to account for a broader context of declining foot traffic and changing consumer preferences. It is often believed that a singular event precipitated the downfall, yet the unraveling was a gradual process, marked by a series of strategic missteps. Leadership decisions, taken over years, contributed to a disconnect between the company and its evolving customer base. Critics have pointed fingers at poor inventory management, but this is merely one facet of a larger picture. Additionally, the notion that all retail businesses can survive without embracing e-commerce is misleading. The shifts in shopping habits, accelerated by the advent of online shopping, rendered traditional models increasingly obsolete. In this region, competition from agile, digitally savvy brands further exacerbated the situation, leading to a loss of market share that was not easily recoverable. Public perception often leans towards attributing the closure to an inevitable fate, dismissing individual agency and responsibility. This perspective overlooks the critical lessons embedded in the decline of this one-storied retailer, illustrating that adaptability remains a vital component of any business strategy. The implications of this demise reach far beyond the boundaries of a single retailer. In an era where consumer preferences shift with unprecedented velocity, the need for agility has never been more pronounced. Observations drawn from this decline highlight the importance of understanding evolving market dynamics and the necessity of embracing digital transformation. A once revered institution, it failed to adequately respond to the rise of e-commerce, allowing competitors to capture market share rapidly. This region, marked by the remnants of a fading company, now serves as a poignant reminder of the consequences of stagnation. Retailers are increasingly recognizing that a robust online presence is essential, not merely an auxiliary feature. The decline underscores the necessity for physical stores to innovate, offering unique experiences that cannot be replicated online. These ruins reflect a broader trend, as businesses must now prioritize customer engagement and personalization. The once unassailable foundations have eroded, prompting a reevaluation of conventional retail strategies. New models emerge, driven by a combination of technology and consumer demand for sustainability. Success in this transformed landscape hinges upon an organization's ability to pivot swiftly, using data-driven insights to inform decisions. The future of retail is not merely about survival. It is about thriving amidst change, a lesson starkly illustrated by the downfall of British home stores. Public sentiment towards British home stores was a complex tapestry of nostalgia and disappointment. For many, it represented a cherished part of the nation's retail landscape, a place where families gathered to shop for home essentials. This connection was deeply rooted, cultivated over decades of service and familiarity. Shoppers held memories of browsing through its aisles, finding everything from linens to kitchenware. As the decline progressed, these memories clashed with a growing sense of loss. Customers felt a profound attachment, yet frustration accumulated as the once reliable brand struggled to adapt to evolving market dynamics. The slow shuttering of store locations mirrored the dwindling hope that the company would rectify its trajectory. This emotional response was not confined to mere nostalgia. It transcended into a shared grief for a fading institution. The public's lamentation was often expressed through social media, where sentiments of anger and sorrow intertwined. Loyal patrons felt betrayed as they witnessed the gradual erosion of service quality and product offerings. The outpouring of sentiment underscored a collective yearning for the days when British home stores stood as a reliable choice, reflecting a time of stability in the retail sector. That longing became interwoven with the realization that what had once been a cornerstone of shopping in this region was now reduced to remnants of its former self. Philanthropic efforts once characterized its operations, with a commitment to community support that resonated deeply among patrons. This organization engaged in numerous charitable initiatives, fostering a sense of goodwill that positioned it favorably within the public's perception. The ethos of giving back was a hallmark of its identity, generating a loyal customer base that appreciated its dedication to social responsibility. Engagement with local charities became a focal point, as various fundraising campaigns and partnerships with nonprofit organizations flourished. These activities not only enriched the community, but also enhanced its brand reputation. The approach was methodical, with careful consideration given to causes that aligned with its values and those of its customers. Support for initiatives related to education, health, and poverty alleviation allowed it to maintain an image of relevance and compassion. As financial stability waned, sustaining these charitable activities grew increasingly challenging. The shift from a thriving retailer to one struggling for survival placed immense strain on resources. While its intentions remained noble, the practicalities of maintaining such efforts became untenable. The aftermath of this decline reverberated across the workforce. Long-standing employees found themselves navigating uncertainty. Years of dedication met with an abrupt shift in corporate strategy. Familiar faces, once part of a cohesive environment, became mere statistics in a disheartening restructuring effort. The emotional toll was palpable, with many grappling with feelings of betrayal and loss as they witnessed the erosion of their shared legacy. This region, once bustling with activity, now reflected the stark realities of a retail landscape undergoing radical change. The gradual shuttering of stores left many communities devoid of their local shopping hubs. With closures often announced abruptly, employees faced the challenge of adapting to a harsh new economic reality. Job security, once a cornerstone of their employment, dissolved as the company struggled to innovate. The impact extended beyond the individual. Families and local economies strained under the weight of reduced incomes. Former employees, laden with uncertainty, sought new opportunities in a market that was equally competitive. Many turned to alternative employment, often in sectors that bore no resemblance to their previous roles. The shifting dynamics left an indelible mark, transforming lives and communities alike in ways that would take years to fully comprehend. The slow unraveling of this institution had far-reaching implications, reshaping the fabric of retail employment in its wake. The legacy of British home stores extended into the very foundation of British retail history. Established in 1928, it became synonymous with affordable household goods and fashion. This institution carved a niche, catering to a demographic that sought quality without compromise. Its extensive network of stores spanned the nation, drawing millions of customers into its welcoming aisles. Strategic decisions during its peak demonstrated an understanding of shifting consumer needs. They embraced innovation, adapting to the demands of the evolving retail landscape. The introduction of various product lines reflected a keen awareness of market trends, positioning it as a household name. This adaptability served to influence competitors, setting a standard for service and pricing. Decline began to manifest in the early 21st century, revealing vulnerabilities in its business model. Mounting competition from online retailers and changing shopping habits contributed to a gradual erosion of its market share. The once crowded stores began to empty, leaving behind echoes of a bustling retail experience. The final curtain came in 2016, marking the end of an era. While the physical presence of BHS has vanished, the impact of its operational strategies and customer engagement practices remain embedded in the consciousness of British retail. Lessons learned from its journey continue to resonate, shaping future endeavors in an ever-evolving market landscape. Brand revivals often emerge as a glimmer of hope within the ashes of a once thriving enterprise. Efforts to reintroduce this brand illustrate the complexities of consumer attachment and nostalgia. Initiatives began to surface, aimed at resurrecting the essence of the British home store's legacy. Various entrepreneurs recognized the emotional connection, striving to re-establish it as a symbol of comfort and familiarity in the retail landscape. The attempts varied in approach, encompassing online platforms and pop-up stores, all designed to rekindle interest and invite a new generation to explore its offerings. These ventures sought to tap into the collective memory of shoppers who once frequented the iconic locations. Familiar colors and logos adorned marketing materials, invoking feelings of a bygone era where the brand flourished. Challenges emerged, such as navigating a highly competitive market saturated with established names and emerging startups. The landscape had shifted dramatically, with consumer preferences evolving and shopping habits increasingly leaning towards e-commerce. Attempts to adapt the brand's identity to modern sensibilities proved arduous, as it grappled with a legacy that weighed heavily on its ambitions. Despite the visible efforts, the shadows of its past loomed large. Current perceptions frequently remained entangled with its previous failures. The journey of revival reflects the delicate balance between nostalgia and innovation, a dance that few can navigate successfully. Economic policy has historically played a significant role in shaping the retail landscape. In this context, various government interventions can either bolster or hinder the operations of retail establishments. Taxation strategies, minimum wage regulations, and trade agreements contribute to the competitive terrain in which businesses like British home stores once thrived. The evolving nature of fiscal policy, coupled with shifts in consumer behavior, has rendered traditional retail models increasingly vulnerable. This region witnessed a gradual erosion of physical storefronts as government austerity measures limited disposable income for many households. Such changes influenced purchasing patterns, leading to a preference for online shopping over brick-and-mortar experiences. Consequently, the fading company struggled to adapt to these shifting dynamics, unable to align its offerings with the expectations of a digital-first consumer base. Government incentives, while aimed at stimulating growth, often failed to reach the sectors most in need of support. Policies promoting e-commerce inadvertently marginalized traditional retailers. Regulatory frameworks designed to protect workers sometimes resulted in higher operational costs, further straining profitability. Amid these pressures, it became clear that a cohesive strategy incorporating both economic foresight and consumer engagement was essential. The impact of policy decisions on retail is profound, illustrating how external factors can shape the fate of even the most storied establishments within the industry. This phenomenon became particularly evident in the case of British home stores. Customer feedback, once confined to verbal exchanges, transitioned into a digital landscape where online reviews dictated public perception. The rise of social media platforms and consumer review sites marked a shift in power dynamics, empowering shoppers to voice their opinions at unprecedented scale. Complaints regarding product quality and customer service permeated the digital realm. They created a feedback loop wherein negative experiences shared online significantly tarnished the retailer's reputation. Shoppers began to gravitate towards competitors who embraced transparency and engaged actively with their clientele. The lack of response to critical reviews further exacerbated the situation, allowing discontent to fester. The company's once loyal customer base diminished as consumers turned to platforms that facilitated instant comparisons. This transition left little room for British home stores to defend its market position. The inability to adapt to this new environment rendered it vulnerable, revealing the fragile nature of consumer trust. As the online landscape evolved, so too did expectations for businesses. The demand for quality service and responsiveness became paramount. The gradual erosion of confidence in a brand that had once embodied reliability encapsulated the broader challenges facing traditional retailers in a rapidly changing marketplace. The decline of high streets has been marked by a shift in consumer behavior, where convenience and online accessibility have taken precedence over physical shopping experiences. This region, once vibrant with foot traffic and bustling storefronts, now witnesses vacant spaces and diminished activity. The emergence of e-commerce has transformed how individuals engage with retail, rendering once popular destinations less relevant. The gradual abandonment of these traditional shopping avenues has not only affected British home stores, but has also reverberated through an array of established brands. These ruins of high streets reflect changing habits, where consumers increasingly favor efficiency over the nostalgic ambience of in-person shopping. Retailers have struggled to adapt to the digital age, often failing to invest adequately in their online platforms. As this decline continued, many businesses faced insurmountable challenges, leading to closures and bankruptcies. The once frequented establishments, now shadows of their former selves, serve as a stark reminder of a bygone era. The echoes of bustling interactions have faded, replaced by the silence of uncertainty. This shift is not merely a consequence of economic fluctuations, but an indication of deeper societal transformations. With the landscape of retail fundamentally altered, the prospects for recovery remain tenuous at best, leaving many brands, including British home stores, grappling with an uncertain future. Adaptability emerged as a crucial factor in the survival of retail entities. The stagnation of British home stores illustrates the consequences of a failure to evolve in a rapidly changing market. Once a familiar presence, it struggled to shift its offerings to meet the demands of a modern consumer base. The inability to embrace technological advancements and online retail resulted in a misalignment with emerging shopping behaviors. This region, once filled with bustling shoppers, now bears witness to abandoned storefronts and dwindling foot traffic. The once vibrant displays of home goods and textiles faded into memory as the company clung to outdated business models that proved ineffective. They failed to grasp the importance of an adaptive strategy that merged physical and digital experiences. Sustaining relevance required a keen awareness of consumer preferences and innovations in retail. Adaptability was not merely an option, it became a necessity for survival. Competitors who embraced change flourished, offering personalized experiences and seamless online shopping options. The stark contrast highlighted the repercussions of stagnation. In reflection, lessons drawn from this decline emphasize that to thrive within a volatile market, retailers must recognize and respond to shifting paradigms. The Fading Company stands as a testament to the vital nature of adaptability amid an era defined by rapid change and consumer evolution. Public figures wield significant influence in shaping perceptions and narratives surrounding brands. The connection between the public and these influencers can alter consumer sentiment, often with profound implications for businesses. British Home Stores, in its decline, became susceptible to the scrutiny of these personalities, as voices in popular culture began to criticize the retailer's practices and product offerings. The atmosphere surrounding it shifted. Influencers who once promoted the company's offerings gradually turned their attention elsewhere. This shift was not merely a matter of preference, it indicated a broader cultural movement. The authenticity and relatability of these public figures resonated more with audiences, leading many to question their loyalty to a brand that appeared stagnant and unresponsive to change. The dissonance created by influencers distancing themselves from British Home Stores manifested in declining foot traffic and diminishing sales. As the company struggled to maintain relevance, the commentary from these influential figures often underscored its shortcomings. The once favorable image transformed into one of neglect and outdated practices, contributing to an overall perception of decline. This narrative, amplified through social media and public discourse, resulted in a loss of confidence among consumers, further exacerbating the retailer's challenges. The effects of these public figures were both subtle and profound, highlighting the critical role of perception in the life cycle of a brand. This evolution in consumer perception prompted a reevaluation of strategies within the retail sector. In the aftermath of British Home Stores, new trends began to emerge, indicating a shift in how retailers approached market dynamics. The rise of e-commerce transformed the landscape, compelling physical stores to adapt or retreat. Retailers increasingly turned to online platforms as essential components of their business models, integrating digital experiences that catered to the changing preferences of consumers. These developments did not occur in isolation. A renewed emphasis on sustainability and ethical practices took shape as customers began to prioritize brands that aligned with their values. Retailers responded by crafting narratives that celebrated transparency and responsibility, often showcasing their commitment to environmental stewardship. This focus helped to cultivate a sense of loyalty and trust among a more conscientious consumer base. Brick-and-mortar locations also experienced a revival through experiential retail. By curating unique experiences, stores became destinations rather than mere shopping venues. This shift encouraged interactions that extended beyond transactions, fostering community connections and enhancing brand loyalty. Market analysts observed these transformations closely. Retailers who embraced innovation and adaptability thrived, while those who clung to outdated models faced increasing challenges. The landscape shifted, revealing a complex interplay of consumer expectations and corporate strategy that continues to redefine the essence of retail. The rise of consumer rights emerged as a pivotal force in shaping the retail environment, underscoring the importance of transparency and ethical practices. British home stores, once a household name, became a case study illustrating the consequences of neglecting these evolving standards. Customers increasingly demanded clarity in pricing, product quality, and corporate responsibility. This region witnessed a growing awareness of consumer protection laws and the power of collective voices. As BHS struggled to adapt to shifting expectations, they found themselves at odds with an increasingly informed customer base. The disconnect between corporate decisions and consumer needs became apparent, leading to eroding trust and loyalty. In the wake of unfavorable publicity regarding its business practices, BHS faced scrutiny and criticism. Allegations of poor treatment of employees and a lack of accountability fueled public discontent. This environment fostered a sense of urgency among consumers, prompting calls for greater rights and protections. The repercussions were evident. Sales dwindled as shoppers sought alternatives that aligned more closely with their values. The once bustling aisles of BHS turned into silent corridors, filled with echoes of past prosperity. Each decision, each misstep, contributed to a declining reputation. The decline illustrated a broader narrative within retail: adapt to the evolving landscape of consumer rights or risk obsolescence. The dynamic nature of fashion trends played a pivotal role in shaping the trajectory of this fading company. In an industry increasingly swayed by rapid shifts in consumer preferences, the appeal of British home stores began to diminish. The rise of fast fashion brands, which offered immediate access to the latest styles, drew attention away from its more traditional offerings. This shift created a void where once loyal customers sought novelty and affordability over the enduring quality that the retailer had historically provided. The influence of social media also contributed to this decline. Images of influencers and celebrities adorned with fresh, trend-driven apparel reshaped consumer expectations. The allure of immediacy and exclusivity became paramount, leaving this retailer struggling to maintain relevance. It could not keep pace with the swift turnover of stock that characterized its competitors. Seasonal collections that once captivated audiences now felt stale and uninviting, as customers opted for stores that embraced the fleeting nature of trends. As the years progressed, this company found itself increasingly isolated within a marketplace that demanded agility and innovation. Shoppers sought experiences and brands that resonated with their evolving identities. In an environment that prized transformation, the inability to adapt left it facing a fundamental disconnect with its customer base. The impact of demographics shifted significantly over the years, altering the landscape of consumer preferences. A younger, more diverse population began to emerge, favoring brands that resonated with modern values and lifestyles. This transformation was marked by a growing inclination towards sustainability and ethical consumption. The historic retail shop struggled to connect with this evolving demographic, leading to a gradual erosion of its customer base. Gender dynamics also played a critical role in shaping shopping habits. As more women entered the workforce and sought convenience, retail preferences shifted towards online platforms and fast fashion alternatives. Traditional brick-and-mortar establishments, such as this fading company, found themselves challenged by competitors that offered more agile responses to these shifting dynamics. The rise of e-commerce further compounded these issues, creating an environment where speed and style became paramount. This region, once bustling with loyal shoppers, now echoed with the absence of foot traffic. Store layouts that had once appealed to a specific demographic began to feel outdated and uninspiring. The inability to engage younger consumers and adapt to their demands led to a stark decline in relevance. Retail spaces became increasingly quiet, reflecting a stark contrast to the vibrant energy they once commanded, now merely remnants of a bygone era struggling to find their footing in an ever-changing market. Creditors began to feel the tremors of instability as British home stores faltered. The once reliable partnership transformed into an uncertain alliance, where outstanding debts lingered like ghosts in the shadows. Financial commitments were not met, leaving suppliers grappling with the repercussions of a crumbling retail giant. These stakeholders were often small businesses that relied heavily on consistent orders and timely payments. When this reliance was shattered, it sent ripples throughout the supply chain. Many suppliers faced mounting pressure, struggling to maintain operations in the wake of unpaid invoices. The cash flow paralysis led to layoffs, stockpiles of unsold goods, and in some cases, closure. The strain of uncertainty permeated every interaction as each party navigated the precarious landscape of diminished trust. This region, once filled with bustling commerce, echoed with the quiet resignation of businesses that had supplied everything from clothing to homeware. The aftermath also revealed a tangled web of financial liabilities, amplifying the challenges faced by creditors. Legal battles ensued, with some suppliers forced to pursue claims in court, while others were left with little recourse. The emotional toll was significant, as many had invested not only resources, but also years of dedication into sustaining the relationship. This systemic unraveling left a haunting legacy, a stark reminder of the fragility inherent in retail partnerships. The complexities of property leasing emerged as a critical factor in the decline of this once-renowned retailer. Landlords faced mounting challenges as the economic landscape shifted dramatically. The once reliable income from retail spaces became increasingly unreliable, leaving many property owners grappling with the reality of vacant units. High-profile closures signaled a larger crisis, one that affected the very fabric of commercial real estate in this region. In the face of dwindling foot traffic, landlords were compelled to reconsider their strategies. Long-term leases, once seen as secure investments, transformed into liabilities. This shift prompted a reevaluation of rental agreements as property owners sought to attract new tenants while grappling with the risk of further vacancies. The pressure to reduce rents in a softening market created a ripple effect. It diminished the financial stability of both landlords and their struggling tenants. As the situation evolved, the relationship between landlords and retailers grew increasingly strained. Negotiations became tense, with both parties caught in a cycle of uncertainty. The inability to secure favorable terms reflected the broader decline of the retail sector, highlighting the challenges faced by all stakeholders. The reverberations of these struggles extended beyond individual businesses, reshaping the landscape of commercial property and underscoring the interconnectedness of retail and real estate in an ever-changing economy. The influence of technology permeated the retail environment, serving as both a catalyst for change and a harbinger of decline. Traditional players, such as British home stores, found themselves increasingly at odds with nimble, tech-savvy competitors who embraced e-commerce and digital marketing strategies. They leveraged data analytics to understand consumer behavior, optimizing inventory and enhancing customer engagement. This shift in focus rendered physical storefronts less relevant, as convenience became paramount in the minds of shoppers. These advancements contributed to a stark contrast in operational efficiency. Retailers that adopted integrated online platforms experienced accelerated growth, attracting a demographic increasingly reliant on digital interfaces. This evolution highlighted a growing chasm between those who adapted and those who resisted change. The fading company struggled to maintain its relevance in a climate where instant access to products and services became the norm. In this region, the once crowded aisles now lay empty, a silent testament to a broader trend. Competitors capitalized on emerging technologies, offering personalized experiences and streamlining logistics, all while British home stores grappled with outdated systems. The juxtaposition of innovative practices against traditional operations illustrated a pivotal moment in retail history, as many established brands found it difficult to navigate the relentless tide of technological advancement. The consequences of stagnation became increasingly evident, underscoring the need for adaptation in a rapidly evolving marketplace. Trade associations once served as crucial pillars for the retail sector, providing guidance and support to businesses aiming to navigate the complexities of an evolving marketplace. British Home Stores, as a member of these organizations, found itself amidst a shifting landscape that demanded innovation and responsiveness. These associations fostered collaboration among retailers, sharing best practices and industry insights. Yet, even with such resources at their disposal, external pressures intensified. The landscape was marked by the rise of online retailers, altering consumer expectations and shopping habits. This shift rendered traditional brick-and-mortar models increasingly vulnerable. The once familiar storefronts of British home stores became relics of a bygone era, unable to keep pace with the digital transformation. Trade associations attempted to advocate for retail interests, but the challenges faced by BHS were profound. Economic fluctuations and changing consumer behavior compounded the difficulties, exposing the inadequacies in the company's operational strategies. These organizations provided a framework for dialogue, yet the rapid decline of established retail giants illustrated a broader crisis within the industry. As the decline unfolded, it became evident that even with the most robust support structures, some businesses would fail to adapt. The remnants of British home stores, now mere shadows in the retail landscape, serve as a cautionary tale of missed opportunities and the relentless march of change. Loyal patrons of British home stores reflect on their experiences with a mixture of nostalgia and disappointment. Memories surface of bustling aisles, where shoppers once wandered through an array of household goods, clothing, and furnishings. For many, it was a reliable destination, a place where affordability met practicality. Customers recall their first purchases with fondness, from basic kitchenware to seasonal decorations. Conversations reveal a collective sense of loss. Individuals express how the decline of this once familiar brand left a void in their shopping habits. Many had trusted it for years, viewing it as a staple of everyday life. Familiarity fostered loyalty, yet the transition to online shopping and the rise of fast fashion retailers gradually diminished its appeal. Some former customers note the initial signs of trouble, observing how the quality of products began to wane alongside the rising prices. Store visits shifted from expectations of delightful finds to experiences marked by disappointment. The once thriving atmosphere morphed into one that felt outdated, unable to compete with emerging trends and competitors. These reflections articulate a broader sentiment within the region. As retail environments evolve, the loss of British home stores resonates deeply with those who cherished its offerings. The echoes of past transactions linger, illustrating a complex relationship between consumers and a brand that once held a prominent place in their lives. Innovation often serves as the lifeblood of retail, distinguishing those who adapt from those who fade into obscurity. Competitors within the same sector embraced technological advancements, evolving their operational strategies to meet the demands of a changing marketplace. This region witnessed a shift as online shopping gained momentum, prompting rivals to invest heavily in digital infrastructures and customer engagement strategies. While British home stores remained tethered to traditional retail paradigms, others took bold steps toward integration. The introduction of mobile applications streamlined the shopping experience, offering users personalized recommendations and convenient purchasing options. In contrast, the fading company struggled to connect with an increasingly digital-savvy consumer base, relying instead on antiquated methods that no longer resonated. These competitors harnessed data analytics to understand customer preferences and behaviors, enabling them to curate product offerings that aligned with consumer desires. The ability to pivot quickly in response to market trends contrasted starkly with the static approach observed at BHS. As the landscape evolved, the once vibrant brand found itself overshadowed by nimble players who embraced change rather than resisting it. Amidst this transformation, lessons emerged for the retail sector. The necessity of continuous innovation became apparent, as did the risks inherent in remaining stagnant. Without adaptation, even the most established entities risk becoming relics of a bygone era. The repercussions of the financial crisis of 2008 reverberated throughout the retail landscape, profoundly affecting operations in this fading company. Consumer confidence plummeted, leading to a significant decline in discretionary spending. This shift manifested in dwindling foot traffic within the stores, as shoppers became increasingly frugal, seeking bargains and prioritizing essential purchases. Management struggled to respond to this changing consumer behavior. Stock levels remained high, but sales figures sank, creating an unsustainable imbalance. The once thriving retail environment shifted to a battlefield of relentless discounting and promotions. Efforts to rejuvenate the brand faltered, as the company's identity became muddied amidst fierce competition from agile rivals and the burgeoning online market. Financial reports illuminated the harsh reality. Year-on-year losses accumulated, and the pressure mounted from creditors and stakeholders. Attempts to navigate through this turbulence involved restructuring initiatives, yet these measures often proved inadequate. Store closures loomed as a grim reminder of the overarching challenges faced. This region, once bustling with the promise of vibrant commerce, now bore witness to empty storefronts and disheartened employees. The legacy of British home stores, a once iconic retail institution, began to unravel under the weight of economic strain and an unwillingness to innovate. The decline unfolded quietly, much like the fading echoes of familiar retail experiences. Brand image held significant weight in the retail landscape, often serving as the lifeblood of consumer loyalty. Historical examples illustrate how companies navigated the treacherous waters of changing market dynamics. A notable case involved a well-known American department store that, in response to evolving consumer preferences, rebranded itself as a lifestyle destination. This shift rejuvenated its image, drawing in a younger demographic eager for innovation and experience rather than mere transactions. In contrast, there were instances where attempts at rebranding faltered, leading to confusion among established customers. A prominent footwear retailer, for instance, endeavored to modernize its image, but the effort alienated its core customer base. The dissonance between the new branding and the expectations of loyal patrons precipitated a decline in sales, revealing how fragile brand perception can be. This region of retail history offers valuable lessons, emphasizing the need for companies to align their rebranding efforts with the authentic values that initially attracted consumers. Successful pivots hinge not solely on aesthetics, but also on a resonant narrative that bridges the gap between past and present. The failures highlighted within these case studies underscore a crucial truth. Brand image is not merely cosmetic. It is a complex interplay of consumer expectations, trust, and emotional connection. The lessons imparted by the decline of this once iconic retailer resonate throughout the landscape of British retail. A fundamental understanding emerges. Adaptability and innovation are not optional but essential for survival. This sector, marked by rapid changes in consumer behavior and technological advancements, demands a proactive approach. The static model that sustained British home stores falters in a world that thrives on immediacy and personalization. Attention shifts towards the evolving expectations of shoppers. An increasing emphasis on sustainability and ethical practices has reshaped purchasing decisions. Retailers must engage in transparent dialogue, fostering a sense of community and belonging. The emotional connections that once anchored consumer loyalty are now intricately tied to shared values and experiences. Digital transformation stands as another critical pillar. The integration of e-commerce and traditional retail must be seamless, creating a cohesive omnichannel experience. Those who fail to embrace this shift risk obsolescence, as evidenced by the fate of the fading company. Investments in technology and analytics, enabling informed decision-making, are paramount. The future of British retail hinges on understanding these dynamics. Lessons learned from the demise of British home stores serve as a cautionary tale, emphasizing the importance of resilience, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to the evolving needs of consumers in a competitive landscape. A retrospective examination reveals the intricate journey of British home stores, characterized by both remarkable achievements and significant missteps. In its prime, this retail entity stood as a symbol of accessible quality, catering to a diverse clientele eager for home goods and clothing. Its expansive range offered something for everyone, establishing a loyal customer base. Over the decades, the changing landscape of consumer behavior became evident. Shifts toward online shopping and the demand for personalized experiences unraveled the once stable framework of retail operations. This region, once bustling with eager shoppers, now bears the silent weight of a bygone era, reflecting on the store's inability to adapt to these evolving dynamics. Storefronts that once showcased vibrant displays now stand as remnants, echoing the challenges that beset many traditional retailers. The decline was gradual, marked by strategic miscalculations and an underestimation of the digital revolution. Each decision made incrementally contributed to an inevitable conclusion. An examination of this fading company offers insights into the essence of adaptability in business. The lessons extend beyond mere survival. They underscore the necessity for foresight and innovation. As the dust settles on the legacy of British home stores, it remains a poignant reminder of the fragile nature of retail dominance, illuminating the path forward for future enterprises.